Hey everyone, it's Jake at Jake's Metal Chat. Hope you're all well and welcome to episode 80 of my Metal Vault, where I will be exploring and showing you my favorite albums within heavy metal to thrash metal to death metal, black metal, doom metal, sludge metal, folk metal, you name it. All of that excellent stuff, as well as talking about the albums. I will also be talking about the bands. So a brief history and any releases leading up to the albums that I have picked. And this is going to be a long, very what's going to be quite emotional because I was listening to these two albums that I'm going to be showing you 2 days ago, and yeah, it's going to be very emotional because 2 days ago we lost an icon, a legend, the Godfather of heavy metal. A lot of you know him as the Prince of Darkness, who was in one of the biggest bands that invented heavy metal. Of course, I'm talking about Black Sabbath, with three other equally amazing musicians: Tony Iommi, Geezer Butler, and Bill Ward. Of course, I am talking about, once again, the Prince of Darkness, Ozzy Osbourne. And I remember when I first heard the name Ozzy, I thought, who's this Ozzy Osbourne? And then I heard one song from the first album I'll be showing you in a bit. And I remember just playing that on repeat while playing on my PS2. I was playing Spider-Man 2, and I just had that on repeat constantly because I heard the song and I was just like totally hooked from there, and then found, of course, Black Sabbath, which of course he made amazing music with. And then after he was kicked out of the band, he met a legendary musician, a metal god in his own right, and that is Randy Rhoads. And they created these two excellent pieces of metal right here. I am talking about, of course, Ozzy Osbourne's 1980 solo debut, Blizzard of Oz, and 1981's Diary of a Madman. And these two here, I heard them 2 days ago, and you know, just remembering how brilliant these two are. Excellent, excellent albums. Definitely in every metalhead's collection. And let's show off some of the well, let's show off the cover here for Blizzard of Oz. Got one back right there. And of course, if we open up here, we got him and Randy jamming out. Pictures right there. A few lyrics here. And Ozzy and Randy there. And Ozzy absolutely loved Randy Rhoads. It was paramount. It was so clear that he loved Randy. And it shows in the music. Definitely shows in the music. Excellent, excellent album this is. 1980. This is 45 years old. It's crazy. You know, the legacy of this album is astonishing. Astonishing. Same with Diary of a Madman. Got right there on the back. Of course, looking a lot different on the front there. The wild side of Ozzy Osbourne, as we all know. Because I got to see him 5 times. 4 times with Sabbath and once under his own name, and that was Download of 2018. And I believe there's some more pictures of yeah, on the where he picked up Randy and more on here and a few lyrics here. Yeah, this is 1981. This album's yep, 44 years old. Just still holds up to this day, and so does this one. And before we talk about these albums, let's talk about the man himself, Ozzy Osbourne. Well, he wasn't always known as Ozzy. As you know, he was known as John Michael Osborne. He was born on the 3rd of December, 1948 in Birmingham, England. Right here in the UK. And he was brought up in a working class family. His mother worked and his father worked in a very industrial city as Birmingham is. And years later down the line, he met Tony. Well, he knew Tony from when they were kids. And then they eventually met Bill Ward and Geezer Butler from the band, which went under different names. One of them was Earth before changing it to Black Sabbath. Made countless albums with each other, and then, of course, kicked Ozzy out. And then then went on to do a solo career, which, of course, from 1977 to 1978, it was known as Blizzard of Oz. And then from 79 to 80, again, still under Blizzard of Oz, and then The Law in 1980, before changing it to just his own name of Ozzy Osbourne. And, of course, uh, in between the times of Black Sabbath and his solo career, he met Sharon, whose father was managing Sabbath at the time, and that's how they met. And then they got married uh like a couple like 2, 3 years later. And she's always been there for him, like through his career and all his ups and downs. And in between all that, he was making excellent music, and these two are absolute paramount of how much heart and soul we put into these albums, along with Randy. And of course, let's talk about one of the songs that got me in to just listen to a lot of Ozzy Osbourne, and that is the song Crazy Train, which of course he released a single in 1980 on Jet Records, along with another song called You Looking at Me, Looking at You. And then of course 1980, that same year, on the 20th of September, we had this album, also released on Jet Records. And of course, the vinyl was released on Jet Records. I got the CD version here, which has, of course, some uh, bonus tracks, which was released, of course, was released on Jet Records, of course, because I got the Epic, Legacy, and Sony Music version here. Well, Sony Music, that's the one I have. And along with Randy, there was the Kerslake. Sorry, let me say that again. Kerslake, who was the drummer. He sadly passed away in 2020. And Bob, who was on bass. So we had Ozzy, Randy, Bob, and Lee creating this epic masterpiece right here. And of course, we had guest members with Don on keyboards, Mark on vocals, and John also on vocals, some backing vocals. And even some of the members themselves produced it, such as Lee, Randy, and Ozzy himself producing it. Well, they all did. They all produced this album along with Finn Costello and Max Norman. But Max Norman engineered, Finn Costello did the photography. And let's talk about the songs themselves. Just listen to this again. I was just when I remember first hearing it, I was just completely blown away. So we start off with an epic song such as I Don't Know, which just you think it's like it's gonna give you some time, and then it's like Doom was right there. And then it gets on from that absolute masterpiece of a song to arguably one of his most well-known songs, which is Crazy Train, which has that him going all aboard, and then you got the bass and the drums, and then you come in Randy, and then later on you get Randy's epic solos. He's got a lot of epic solos on this, but on that one especially, and also track number 6, which I'll get to in a bit, and the other one a bit more lighter, track number 3. So from those two songs where they just kick off something heavy to something a little bit more chilled out. So, and that's with Goodbye Romance. Very, very soft entry in on this album, and only the third track in as well. And then we have a 50-second instrumental called D, and then that goes straight into Suicide Solution, which again another awesome song. And then one of my other all-time favorite tracks, track number 6, and it's got that epic keyboard opening, and that is Mr. Crowley. Just incredible, incredible. Hearing it on record, hearing it on that live, when in that live studio environment. That video, you know what I'm on about. It'll be down there below, along with these two. And then no bone movies, just to keep it going, just to pick up on Mr. Crowley, because Mr. Crowley's also it's still got that heaviness and that oomph to it, but a bit more slower in tempo, but still an epic solo work from Mr. Randy Rhoads himself. And then Revolution, Revelation, Mother Earth, which again, brilliant, brilliant. Just everything from the vocals to the guitars to the bass to the drums, and then a great ending with Steal Away the Night. And that is the end of this album, and it's just so well done, so well produced. They all did an excellent job performing on this album and also producing it. And the engineering is also bloody incredible as well. And of course, like I've said earlier, it holds up still. It holds up 45 years later. And once you hear Ozzy's voice, you just know it's just like he comes in, it's just like on top of everything else, on top of Randy's guitars, on top of Randy's guitars, and Bob's bass and Lee's vocals, and then of course you got Don on the keyboards, who I believe, when I'm looking him up, is been the keyboardist and organ player for Deep Purple since 2002. And of course was in Rainbow from 1978 to 1981, and has done very amounts of live stuff, guest appearances, even on Black Sabbath himself, which is how I would guess how he met Ozzy. And yeah, he's done quite a lot. Just a brilliant. And when I heard Crazy Train, I couldn't help but just saying every single word. Same with Mr. Crowley, which I got a bit emotional for because his passing is still very fresh in a lot of our minds. But his legacy lives on this album right here. So Blizzard of Oz, go and check it out. And then we get to a few singles in between that. So we got the Mr. Crowley single from 81. There's a live version as well. Both released on Jet Records, and yeah, both released on Jet Records. And then we have the single, which is going to be appearing on the second album called Over the Mountain, with a live version of I Don't Know. They're all released on Jet Records because he was signed to Jet Records at the time. And then another single called Tonight, with another song called Little Dolls. Then a split called Heavy Metal Express, along with Judas Priest, Trust, and Molly Hatchet. And then we have Flying High, another fucking epic song. And then to add those two onto this album right here, Diary of a Madman. Excellent, excellent stuff right here. And then because Over the Mountain just kicks right in. Actually, before we get onto the songs, of course, it's got the same lineup from Blizzard of Oz. On keyboards this time, it's John Cook, who has not done anything since Ozzy Osbourne was on. Yeah, mainly on this album. He hasn't done anything else since, and was in other bands that are not on Metalum here. And the other guest musician was Lewis Clark, who did strings for this album and was in Electric Light Orchestra. Of course, sadly passed away in 2021. Then we had Max Norman again doing producing and engineering, and Finn Costello doing the photography. So Max Norman he did guest vocals on his 83 release, Bark at the Moon. He's done stuff for Annihilator, Death Angel. So you're in good hands when you hear that name. Uh Hyrax, Grim Reaper, Megadeth, and the list goes on. And then we have Finn Costello doing the photography, which I believe has done some for Accept, Akakock, or Akakock, or however you prefer to say it. Battle Axe, of course, Sabbath, Black Sabbath, Budgie, of course, Ozzy Osbourne here, Cradle of Filth, Deep Purple, Diano, Gamma Ray, Judas Priest, Halford, which is of course Rob Halford, King Diamond, Metallica, Manowar, who else? Rush, this goes on, Skyclans, and this goes on. And of course, Tony Harrison also doing photography as well, which I believe only did it for Ozzy for this album, Bark at the Moon, and that's it. And then we have Steve, who did artwork for Black Sabbath's Born Again, as well as Genocide for Judas Priest and Jaguar this time. And yeah, good little list right there. Um, yeah, that's who did what on the album. Of course, this time it was produced by Max Norman, Ozzy Osbourne, and Randy Rhoads only. So what songs do we have? So I mentioned Over the Mountain just kicks right in with a nice, good guitar, drum, bass, and then Ozzy just kicking in with his vocals, and it just, you know, you got that jugga 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 with the guitar, and a bit more melodic when it gets to, where is it? Where it goes, unique, don't need no astrology, just a really good bit. And then from that you get Flying High again, which is a little bit softer, but still very much epic. Again, you just got Randy's solos throughout this entire album, and he just knows how to bring it, he knows how to bring it. And Ozzy putting his vocals along with Randy and Bob and Lee. And Man, just incredible. And then the song that got me going and got me very emotional. Oh, I might lose it here, guys. You Can't Kill Rock and Roll, which has the bit. ah, Um, where is it? You. It's not it, but he says, "I'm born to rock and roll. I'm here to stay." It's like halfway through that, I just lost it because obviously, like I said, it's stuff's still very fresh in our minds. I did warn you, didn't I? I was going to get emotional because his music. Before I continue on with the songs, meant a lot to means a lot to me. It still means a lot to me now. Same with Sabbath, because heavy metal for a lot of us is that escape, and that song "You Can't Kill Rock and Roll" isn't. There's so many different metal anthems, but this is definitely one of those anthems that speaks to a lot of us because you can't kill rock and roll. We're all here to stay, even if we're here now. Or when that time does come, we're still gonna be here. He spoke some true words right there in that song. You can't kill rock and roll. It's here to stay. And that goes on to the next one, Believer, which has that really nice, just haunting bass, and then Randy's guitar and Lee's drums kick in, and Ozzy comes in just full on, man, just goes right into it. And the line I always like is the last bit when it gets the last bit of the song. I'm a believer, I ain't no deceiver. Because he's had a lot of controversy over the years, and man, did he give a shit? No, he didn't. He didn't care. And obviously, like they said, the last song you can't kill rock and roll because obviously he's he invented heavy metal. And then we go from Believer to Little Dolls, which is I think just a little bit softer on that side, but again it fits the album really well. And again, you got Randy solos, you got Bob's bass, and you got Lee's drums. And then tonight, I think is a little bit more of the softer one, just a bit more melodic than the rest. But again, it fits the album to an absolute T. And I think every song on here is just incredible. But my favorite ones are Over the Mountain, You Can't Kill Rock and Roll, and Believer. Just those three songs speak to me a lot more, being my favorites and all. And then you got SATO, which I don't think I got what I understood for, but you're more than welcome to put down in the comments. A good little song right there, and then just again with everything added into it, you got Randy's guitars, you got Bob's bass, you got Lee's drumming, and then where is he? John's keyboards in there as well. And then to end it all off, the title track of this album, Diary of a Madman, that's 6 minutes and 15 seconds on that is no, the second longest track on there. The one before that was You Can't Kill Rock and Roll. And that song perfectly ends this album, definitely. And I would love to have gone to his final show, but from what I've heard from people, it was absolutely fucking incredible. And of course, when he passed away, every metalhead out there would have just been, crying their eyes out right now, like I just did earlier. And so if I get a bit quiet, guys, but like I said, his music means a lot to me. And I know it means a lot to you guys. And when I heard these two albums again, especially hearing Crazy Train, it reminded me of that first time I heard that song and was just completely and utterly hooked to his stuff and being like, this guy is fucking God. Along with Ronnie James Dio and Lemmy Kilmister and many others that have since passed. But Ozzy may be gone. His music isn't. His music isn't. And his legacy lives on in what he done with his solo career and with Sabbath. And he's done a lot more after this. He did Bark at the Moon. Let's go back. Bark at the Moon, The Ultimate Sin, which is just incredible. No Rest for the Wicked, which featured Zach Wilde. And then, of course, his comeback album. So his comeback album from 1991, No More Tears. And then he had Osmosis in 1995, Down to Earth. Of course, the re-releases of Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman. Undercover in 2005, Black Rain in 2007, Scream in 2010, Ordinary Man in 2020, and Patient Number 9 in 2022. His legacy will live on forever. Same with the names I said earlier. I have said this so many times before. They may be gone, but their legacy will live on in the music that they left behind. Because this will stand the test of time. They may not be here physically, but he may not be here physically. But his music is damn sure is. And if you have heard the name Ozzy Osbourne and you're not too familiar with his solo stuff, you're more familiar with Sabbath. You're not, or even if you're not familiar with Sabbath, I urge you. I urge you to check out his music. I urge you to, especially with his solo stuff, to check out 1980s Blizzard of Oz and 1981's Diary of a Madman. Oh, shit. These albums are incredible. Check them out. Once again, Ozzy Osbourne. Blizzard of Oz, Die with a Madman. Oh, let me have a drink first before I say goodbye. And that's it for another episode of My Metal Vault. Oh, sorry for getting emotional. I knew it was going to happen when I did this episode. I knew it was going to happen, and and a lot of us are grieving the loss of this absolute legend and heavy metal icon. And he will be missed. And my love and my thoughts go out to his family, to his friends who miss him very much. My heart goes out to all you, the fans. Of course, me being a fan, but to all you watching. We're all hurting and we're all together. And feel free to comment down below your favorite memories of Ozzy Osbourne, be it a favorite album, the times you saw him live, even times if you got a chance to meet him. It'd be good to actually read those comments and have a look. You know, to hear from other uh, metalheads in the scene here within the VC as well. And yeah, be good. So, without further ado, rest in peace, Ozzy. Rest in power. You may be gone, but your legacy will live on in us fans. For those who have supported your music since day one, will ride, will hold that torch high. And with that, I salute you. I've been Jacob Jake's Metal Chat. Do, and I mean please do keep that banner of metal well and truly high. And I'll see you all in the next one. We love you and we miss you, Ozzy. Rest easy.